Tonight, Donald Trump wrapping up his speech at the Conservative Political Action Conference just a short time ago. We're going to do you a favor. We are not going to show you any sound bites from his speech because it was just as dissociated from the real world as all of his recent speeches. But we can report that the CPAC crowd loved it, and he won the conference's straw poll. And that's only notable because Trump was about the only person at the conference this week who enjoyed such a warm reception. Hardly anyone showed up to Nikki Haley's address. See it there on your screen. You could practically hear crickets when Mike Pompeo decided to speak. But Republicans, well, they came out in force for Trump tonight. As Charlie Sykes wrote for MSNBC.com this week, during the Trump era, CPAC evolved from a gathering of Republican spitfires and alt-right oddballs to a straight-up MAGA cult. Don't forget, 2 years ago, there was a golden Trump statue at the conference. Some on the right are saying the conference should be named TPAC because it caters to one man and one man alone. Look at all the big Republican names not attending this year's conference. Of course, the biggest name, Ron DeSantis. You also have Mike Pence, Kevin McCarthy, Mitch McConnell, RNC Chair Ronna McDaniel. The only attendees appear to be former Trump officials or Trump fanatics, like conspiracy theorist Kari Lake, conspiracy theorist Mike Lindell, conspiracy theorist Marjorie Taylor Greene. Not even Fox is safe, folks. Former Trump strategist Steve Bannon was met with a standing ovation when he effectively declared war on Rupert Murdoch and his empire, vowing to destroy the network for turning its back on Trump. Now, we have to acknowledge one elephant in the room at CPAC, and that is its chief organizer, Matt Schlapp. He is facing a $9.4 million sexual assault lawsuit from a former staffer for failed Senate candidate Herschel Walker. Schlapp has vigorously denied the assault allegations. The headline should be the lead of all CPAC-related coverage this week, but it has become almost a footnote because the conference is so mirrored in chaos and infighting, and of course, Trump love. Joining me now is the chair of the Congressional Progressive Caucus, Democratic Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal of Washington. Congresswoman, thank you so much for coming back on the show. You know, much has been made of the conspicuous absences that we're seeing on this week's CPAC guest list. Some are calling it evidence of a split between the extremists on one side and the so-called normies in the GOP, which I don't think there are any. Do you think that is the right framing, or what is your understanding as to why we're seeing CPAC become what it has become?
Well, Eamon, it's so good to see you. Thanks for having me back on. I think that Republicans are in a massive identity crisis. They are in disarray. They are in ruin. And the problem for Republicans is that these conspiracy theorists, these people who have who are leaders of CPAC, sexual assault lawsuit against the CEO of it, and the things that are being said at CPAC are so extreme that not even Republican leaders want to go to it. The problem, of course, is that Trump is still very popular there, and Trump still commands a significant percentage of the Republican base. So I'm not sure how they're going to resolve this crisis, because clearly they understand that Trump and the extreme Republicans put the Republican brand at risk. That's why so many are staying away. But on the other hand, Trump is the Republican brand, and that is a problem for them. That's why they lost so many races, including Herschel Walker, including so many across the country, because Trump insisted on these extreme MAGA candidates, and the people that showed up are the ones who are still willing to embrace that one-man cult.
Can you talk to me about the danger of this identity crisis for a moment? Because we look at some crazy oddball Republicans on a state level doing things, whether it be in Florida or Texas. You're talking about the identity crisis that's at play here with CPAC all under the control of Trump and the conspiracy theorists. But how dangerous is it for the Republican Party, for this country, for them to be continuing down this road?
It's extremely dangerous, and that's why I don't really, I don't smile when I talk about this, because it is not a good situation when such a significant stage has been given to conspiracy theorists, to right-wing extremists, to people who spread disinformation, fear, all kinds of things that do real violence. I was listening to the segment that you just had with the attorney generals. And I once again want to just be clear that the kind of violence that Donald Trump unleashed on the country during his term as president, leading up to January 6th, and continuing with events at people's homes, as I saw myself with a gunman at my house, this kind of violence is all directly linked to this hate, this disinformation, these conspiracy theorists, not to mention that the threat of our democracy being ignored, being taken over by these conspiracy theorists, people who don't want to respect the fair and free results of an election. That is a very serious country. And these people still have a huge platform out there with, even though some Republicans stayed away from CPAC, they're not denouncing CPAC. They're not denouncing Trump or these ideas in the way that they should. And so this continues to be a massive problem for our democracy and for basic civility in our country.
I want to ask you, if I can, switching for a moment gears here, about the pandemic-era expansion of food assistance funding of SNAP benefits, which expired this week, something that was just so crucial and served as a lifeline during the pandemic. How dire is this situation? You're the chair of the Progressive Caucus. This is obviously something that you championed, and I think a lot of people, progressives on the left, championed.
This is dire. And I just want to make clear for anyone who's listening, SNAP is the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. This is the money that gets food to people who are hungry. And what we saw during the pandemic is by extending SNAP benefits, by adding the child tax credit, we were able to cut poverty, child poverty, in half. And it made it clear, Eamon, that poverty is a policy choice. Hunger is a policy choice. We have the power to change it, and it's with very little money. I mean, we're talking about, just in my state of Washington, 500,000 people will lose $171 a month. Across the country, 32 million people are going to be pushed onto this hunger cliff. And we know that hunger is already so much worse than it was even pre-pandemic. So this is a horrific thing. Republicans, by the way, in the House are proposing cutting SNAP even further, supposedly to take care of the deficit, when we know that we could raise taxes, as President Biden has proposed, on the wealthiest billionaires and get in enormous amounts of money that would far outweigh anything we would get by cutting these essential benefits to families.
Let me get your thoughts as well on this Texas lawsuit that could determine the fate of medication abortion access nationwide. You have this judge, Trump appointee. He has a history of siding with conservatives on this issue. What is at stake? How could this affect your constituents? And how does this country fight it?
Well, this was a clear case of forum shopping, looking for a judge, a Trump-appointed judge, who would give a ruling that would essentially overturn the FDA's ruling that medication abortion is safe. It has been safe for 20 years. It's been used around the world. And I just want you to think, Eamon, and anybody who's listening, about the implications not only for this medication abortion, but also for any medication that the FDA has approved, that any judge could suddenly decide to overturn it. Now, the consequences also for women across this country, pregnant people across this country who are trying to get abortions, is dire. And this, this will, of course, affect the people of color, the poorest people who can't afford to travel across state lines. This is going to affect even states like mine, where we have legalized abortion and protected it, but this is going to have a massive effect across the country. It will be a terrible ruling, not only for abortion and women's freedoms, but also for all medication that's out there. This is unprecedented to overturn the FDA on a medication in this way.
And of course, that could come any day now. Congresswoman Pramila Jayapal, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for your time and insights, as always.
Thank you.